Hey, welcome back to the course orientation videos for EH 141, which is oral communication. When we left off, we were talking about academic honesty and plagiarism, and the short version is just don't do it. You will get a 0, and I really don't like giving zeros out. Finally, the last part of the syllabus is the Writing Center. It's located in Stone Center Room 230. I think it's open for walk-ins this semester. I don't know 100%, but this is one of the options that you have for tutoring, on-demand tutoring, if you struggle in this course. And it's staffed with instructors, graduate teaching assistants, and qualified students with excellent grades in English, specifically to help you with English-related concerns. Other options you have for tutoring, if you aren't on campus, you don't want to walk into the Writing Center, and they do have online appointments in the Writing Center as well. You can also go to ACE, which is Academic Center for Excellence, and we have tutors available there as well. Or you can use your free subscription to tutor.com. Tutor.com is a company that specializes in providing high-quality, individualized, student-centered, on-demand tutoring to students. I've worked with them for about 3 years. I'm a team manager with them. It's an excellent service, and I strongly do recommend it. So those are great options for you if you struggle. You can also always contact me. If you want to send me an outline, for instance, go for it. I'll give you some feedback on it, and you'll probably be more likely to make a good grade. And I don't mind helping out. I teach because I love to, and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. So that takes us through the syllabus. Now let's go back over here to modules. And let's scroll down to Module 1. So we're going to go ahead and go through the course overview. And this is a PowerPoint. Actually, since I'm covering most of the content in Module 1, let's look at the start page for Module 1. Download it. Oh, here's the Writing Center information. So I happen to have it pulled up on my computer. So these are the hours. It looks like it's 8 to 4, and then 8 to 9 or 6 to 9 on most days except for Friday when they're only open for about 2 hours. You can have an on-site online consultation, and there are some policies here. I will post this for you. This looks mostly like tips for success if you choose to use the Writing Center. And it is a good resource. You have a lot of them. And where was I? Back over here. I have a lot of stuff open. You'd be surprised how many windows you keep open as a teacher. All right, so here's what a start page looks like. So it's a little synopsis of what we're going to do in the module, and then exactly what you need to do for each module, what assignments you need to do, and the due dates. So for this module, your due dates are Friday, January 15th, which is when your syllabus and COVID quizzes are due. Monday is when your discussion board is due, and Friday is when your diagnostic speech is due. And that one does not actually require any pre-writing. It's the only speech that doesn't require any pre-writing, because the goal is mostly just to get you comfortable in front of the camera. Now we'll go back over to modules, and I should have time to do that. Look at the course overview. Much of the content in this course is done in PowerPoint because since you have Office 365, I know you have access to it. It's also something that if your particular device doesn't have access to it, say you're on your phone, I know is easily transferred into other forms. And so that makes more sense than other methods. So this is our course overview. It does go over some of the same information as the syllabus, but there's also some additional stuff. So oral communication describes how we use spoken and nonverbal messages to communicate, how we use messages to influence our relationships with others, and how we use gestures, body language, and facial expressions to communicate. It also describes how we create messages using words and sentences, body language, voice, and appearance, and the volume, speed, and pitch of our voices. In addition, it describes how we interpret message to create or sustain our self-concept, how we view ourselves, or to create, reinforce, or contradict our opinions of others. Oral communication, in a nutshell, describes how we communicate through spoken and nonverbal communication, how messages influence our relationship with ourselves and others, how they help us to sustain and create relationships with ourselves and others, and how we use words and voice to convince others of our point of view. It also involves how we present ourselves in personal and professional environments, how we use gestures, facial expressions, and other nonverbal communication to communicate, and how we create messages using subtle cues such as the volume or pitch of our voice. You want to take this class. So why do you want to take this class? Well, I know, you have to graduate. If I asked most of you and you were being honest, you would probably tell me I have to graduate. But there's so many more reasons that you do want to take this. It'll give you a better better understanding of yourself and your identity. You'll learn how your brain processes and prioritizes information, including how you can kind of hack your brain to learn more effectively. You'll gain greater sensitivity to cultural differences, and you'll learn some approaches to dealing with those. And I don't just mean people from other countries. I mean people from different cultures, different subcultures within the United States, because we'll learn that there are many, many of those cultures. You'll improve your clarity in writing and speaking. You'll gain a better ability to read body language. You'll become a better listener. It'll help you to improve relationships with others and learn some conflict management techniques, which can be really helpful in romantic relationships and professional ones. You'll create a resume, a cover letter, and get some practice for the job that you want to have in a mock interview. You'll work with a good group towards a common goal, and of course, you'll learn how to write and deliver speeches in the process. So the modules and content. So it's broken into, I think, 8 modules. And within those modules, there's also reading that kind of goes along with that type of speech. So we're starting with this one, which is the introductory module. Then we're going to look at speech and communication basics, because it's a good idea to get a good foundation before you look at specifics. We'll talk about the narrative speech, which is telling a story. Career development, which is helping you to have the materials and the skills needed to get your foot in the door for the job that you hope to have. The demonstrative speech, which is the how-to speech. Informative, which is giving unbiased information to educate an audience. Group presentations. And then the persuasive speech, which is when you show someone why a specific position that you hold, generally that you hold, is valid or should be considered. Assignments consist of discussion boards, quizzes, and speeches and required pre-writing. So discussion boards are short posts to help you relate the material to your life. They are intended as springboards for ideas for your speeches, so you can use what you write in your discussion boards to help form your speech later on. I actually kind of intend for you to do that. And they give you a chance to communicate with others in the class and compare experiences, which is especially important when we're talking about communication, about intercultural communication. You know, having others who might have had experiences like yours, or others who may have had experiences that are different from yours, and helping to understand each other or to relate better. This class goes through a lot of information. And the quizzes are meant to help you identify the most important parts of that so that you can kind of focus and you don't get bogged down in the details. They are open note and open book. I used mixed format, which is a variety of question types. So each quiz might have multiple choice, true, false, and short answer, and there's not like a certain number of them set aside. The questions that are like true, false, or multiple choice, those do tend to be a half a point in general. Whereas questions with short answers tend to be 1 or 2 points. The general rule for me is the more work it requires, the more points you get. Speeches and required pre-writing. So pre-writing helps take you through the steps to create a strong speech in the assigned format. The specifics of speeches and pre-writing do change with each assignment, so don't assume that just because something wasn't required on one assignment that it's not going to be required on the next one. Most speeches are between 3 to 8 minutes long and require you to deliver it orally, so I must hear your voice in some way. The vast majority of them are not 8 minutes. I think that's just the persuasive speech and the group presentation. The others are closer to 3 to 5 minutes. And they are shorter at the beginning of the semester, and they get longer as the semester goes on, as you're more comfortable with the idea of public speaking. In each module, you'll read chapters on related content, view PowerPoints and the video lectures if you choose to, post discussion boards and responses, take quizzes, do some pre-writing, and create and perform a speech, typically in that order. So the point breakdown, we talked about this in the syllabus, but it's here for you as well. I am assuming here that most of you have limited experience with public speaking, and I also know that for many of you, it is absolutely terrifying. The modules are ordered to introduce concepts slowly and give you time to practice them, where each module builds on the skills from the last one. As a general rule, the class moves from easier to harder, fewer steps to more steps, and from casual to more formal and professional. Individual modules normally last 2 weeks, and I tried, because as a student I really appreciated it when certain assignments were due on certain days, and so I try to do that with my classes and have the same kind of assignment due on the same day of the week each time. So on Mondays, discussion boards and pre-writing are due, and on Fridays, quizzes and speeches are due. And that's to kind of give you time between steps. So you have time in between when you write your discussion board to think about your pre-writing and to, read over the material for the quizzes. And you have time in between your pre-writing to apply it to your speeches. That way you're getting a better sense, and you're kind of spacing out and learning more time management skills. We talked about my late policy, my makeup policy, when assignments are due, the whole grace period, the 2 different dates in Canvas, the due dates and the available until date. Grace period is the difference between the due date and the available until date, and is normally 48 hours, and assignments submitted within the grace period are not considered late. After the grace period, special permission must be obtained to submit work late, and it's a 10% grade deduction per day. I do want to include the caveat, though, that you should not wait until the grace period to do assignments. You should try to get them in before the due date. What often happens is you wait until the last day of the grace period at 11:50, and then something happens with your computer. Well, you're at the end of the grace period, and at that point, you don't just get more time even if you email me. So definitely try to plan ahead. So yes, this is in the syllabus, but we all learn differently, and presenting the same information in a different way can make it easier to understand. Some people are more visual learners, and the colors and hearing my voice and all the things that happen with the PowerPoint might make it stick a little better than reading a text document like we did in the syllabus. So course navigation, look for course contents and assignments under modules. You could in previous classes find it in other places, but it was a lot harder. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. The information in modules is organized in the order that you need it. So the start page is a written overview of each module. Then there's often video walkthroughs, course materials. The video walkthrough walks you through what you need to do for that module. The video lectures are me going over the PowerPoints like this. And then the assignments and quizzes organized by due date and anything else I think you might need. And sometimes things do happen, and I might need to make adjustments to the assignments or the schedule. Say the whole class is having technical problems. Updating the syllabus would lead to a lot of confusion, so changes are typically posted on the start page for the module and in announcements, rather than me going through and adapting the whole syllabus, which, to be honest, you're probably not going to check frequently. So we're going to stop this video here, rather than letting it get cut off like the last two, and then I'll pick back up on this page once it uploads. See you in a few minutes.